Yeah, very big welcome to you, my dear Libra. The sun and the moon are now both in your sign, so you're all alone up there in the sky. You have sun, right? And the sun is gonna have the moon in front of it, so there's a solar eclipse happening. And the moon, of course, dark new moon, is creating such an energy shift, right? And so you have both sun and new moon in your sign, and as such you have here the dark and the light, the black and the white tiles here. It's always this duality game that we are experiencing here in this dimension that is played out in these major arcanas, and that's where the soul can learn, right? Here the soul learns. Where the soul is living right now is nothing to learn. Everything is amazing and beautiful. And so the sun is the energy that gives us this radiance, the light, and the moon is the subconscious, are our feelings. And so here we are in between being and maybe becoming, or exploring who we really are. You're the 11th major arcana, and this is your last reading to the left. After that, we're going out again to your full moon, which you have in your opposite sign of Aries, right? You're ruled by Venus, and Venus in the tarot is the Empress. So we're going to look at the Empress. We're going to look at here the Justice card, right? That's your major arcana. That's your soul aspect. And understand also that when we learn about all of this, right, Venus in itself is that beauty and love and also the money, but you need to learn to come into an equilibrium. And that's what's talking here, right? And then we're going to look into the new moon and into the sun and see what are the messages there. So the 11 is a portal in itself, and as such, right, you are quite important, and we understand that the equilibrium, that what we call justice, doesn't exist, right? We need to learn that justice is a harmonious exchange between the duality. The yoga position for you is here, of course, Malasana, standing on the balls of your feet, and you start to understand the equilibrium is not so easy to behold. It's in your hips because that's your body part, and you see that the Namaste or the Anjali Mudra is in front of the heart. You need to find within you the equilibrium, and the sword is pointing at your third eye, and there you find an inner equilibrium, right? And so this is your message right here. You're the Queen of Swords, and as the Queen of Swords, you cut off heads. Is your birthday between September 12th and October 12th, then is she your court card? If not, you can always look in the description below. I have listed all the court cards there, and the dates vary to the dates where the sun is in a zodiac sign, so just have a look at that as well, right? As the 7th zodiac sign, you're connected to the 7th house of love and relationship. That's very important to you, and you are, as Libra, the one that likes beauty. You love it beautiful, and you create beauty, and as such, you are really in the spirit of beauty, right? And it's beautiful because I think it's something that we can admire, but it doesn't have to be a must. Some people like it dirty, some people like it not so beautiful. They don't care, right? For them, it's not so important. Now back to the last reading where you heard Virgo Sun giving Libra Moon the light. The message was Pluto in Capricorn is reminding you not to get into the game of power. And I can see if there is a reoccurring card coming, and I see already one. And I think there are two cards that are reoccurring, exactly two. And so I think that's it. But that's enough, right? two reoccurring cards, that's enough to see that something is wanting to talk again, and that's what's so important. You had as the star seeds the Arcturians, and that was, of course, a new deck that I started, and it's kind of like the understanding that we have star people around us that are helping us, and you had the Arcturians that came to help you. Good, so we begin the reading, right? Understand that we're going to the left. The left is to the new moon, is your last reading to the left. And when you see a card where the person looks to the left, right, you see that. But when you become it, then you see that she's actually looking to the right. Just understand that, right? There is a circle within the card, but it always depends what you see from an outer perspective and what you then become from an inner perspective. And so we begin. We begin with the Empress, and the Empress is getting the Tower. And the Tower came last time up as well. And so something is going, something is saying, okay, it's ending. What is ending? Only you know. And so the 16, right, we have the 10 inside the Wheel of Fortune, and the 6, the self-love, plus the 3 is the 19, that's the Sun. And the Sun will today be covered by the Moon. And so we get the Ring of Fire, right? And so observe, what does that to you? And the 19 turns into a 10 at the end. A new cycle after this reading will begin. Then I want to see what your deck is bringing, and the Prince of Wands is coming. The Prince of Wands is Sagittarius, it's the Knight of Wands, right? And you see he is looking over how this is crumbling, and it's almost like he's saying, I told you so, and he continues his path. He's the 9th zodiac sign, so we get a 9, and the 10 that we have here with the 9 is a 19 again. And so the Sun again is saying this is happening because it's necessary. It's necessary for something to go, to leave. And even here Sagittarius is not really concerned about it. It's like, yeah, it's just like here your crown chakra is leaving you, right? We get the 7 here, and the 7 is, of course, the emotional intelligence that we need to understand how things come and go, right? And so again, a 10 is left. Then I want to see what is the Tower actually telling you. And the Tower is saying, here you get this beautiful crystal. It's called spessartine, and it's the number 54. So there is a 9 here, the 5, the Hierophant, and the 4, the Emperor, the patriarch, right, that is controlling us. And you're getting here this beautiful stone that is saying, find your charisma, and something needs to go so that you can really find your inner essence, right? And this stone is going to help you, and you are going to learn to use crystals, because crystals are also being used in our computers. And so why are we not using them for our own good? And so the 16, the 7 in the end, right, the emotional intelligence brings you a completion, the 9. And so you have a 9-9 framing the 7 in here, right? And the 7 and the 3 is the 10, and the 10 is the new cycle that is wanting to come to you. Then, of course, I want to see what is here Sagittarius saying to you, and he is bringing you. And this is the teaching lodge, right? She is the teaching lodge of the errors. She is, look at that, this amazing priestess. She is praying to the sun. And this is the 7 that is connecting here to the 7 here. So now we have a 7-7 framing here the 9 or the 10. You see how the numbers work? And of course, you can leave that, right? And just look at the pictures and look at the messages and leave the numbers out. But I want you to get used to the numbers, because numbers don't lie. Pictures, great, right? But sometimes misleading maybe, or not so precise, and the numbers are quite precise. So the 7-7 and the 10 here in the center. You coming out when you understand that here this crystal is helping you to be charismatic, to be this beautiful priestess here, right? And it's almost like Sagittarius is saying, yes, you can do it, right? The 9 and the 7 is the 16. And the 16 again creates then here a 7-7 portal. So you can see how the numbers give you a different result when we calculate them differently together. So you can create your own math here, right? Then I want to see what is the Mother Peace Tarot bringing. It's the Shaman of Wands to the right, upright. And to the right, it's like Leo and Sagittarius, both like fire signs are saying, and then you can go, right? This is your last time going deep within and seeing what's there, what's talking. And this is, of course, Leo, right? And Leo is the King of Wands. And it's the 5th zodiac sign. And so here the 5 and the 9 is the 14. That's temperance. And temperance is always like find your equilibrium deep within you. And then the 5 is left here, which is then you become the teacher. You understand the 5 senses, right? And the 5 senses are really important. But I also want to see what is Leo saying. And Leo's deck is bringing the 3 of Earth. And that's the constellation Mars in Capricorn. And Mars is really here. The tower is Mars. And the tower is like something gotta go so that you can build something new here with the Sagittarius, here with the Leo. So with these 2 fire signs, this like energy is coming to you and you're like, okay, let me build something. Mars in Capricorn. Capricorn is like in your career, build something that's lasting, but also understands at one point it needs to go. And so here we had the 5 and the 3. That's the 8. Then you get the strength to do it, right? And so here comes really a strong message through the Empress. She's literally saying, hey, you gotta do something with your life. You gotta make these decisions, but you have help. And when something is leaving, something else is opening up. And you do have here, right, the stone of the Spessartine, and that stone is going to give you charisma. That stone is going to help you to be her, right? Because let's say these 2 together here, right? And I see here you are in this circle, and the 9 and the 7 is the 16, the tower. So something gotta go so that you can be charismatic, so that you can stand here and teach what it is that you want to teach. And so the message is really strong and really powerful. And just recognize that, right? And see that and understand that. Then we look at, of course, the Justice card. And Justice got here the 7 of Wands. And that's having courage. Having courage to understand that you have here the King of Wands, and that you have the Prince of Wands, right? You have 2 fire signs, and you have Mars, which is fire. And so in all of that, you are learning that you are awakening, right? So here's a date, the 7th of November or the 11th of July. Observe which one works for you. Also remember that this is Mars in Leo. And Mars in Leo is bringing you the strength, right? And Leo was here. The Shaman of Wands was here to give you the strength. And in that strength, you can change and you can do things. And so the date maybe is relevant to you, right? Observe and see how that feels. Then another 7 is coming, the 7 of Cups. And the 7 of Cups is Venus in Scorpio. So Mars in Leo, Venus in Scorpio. Mars and Venus are opposite of each other, right? Mars is the masculine aspect and Venus is the feminine aspect. And so here Scorpio is coming. And here, of course, Leo. Scorpio and Leo are kind of like opposite, right? Fire and water. And so here you have to be careful. This illusionary emotional success that you think you have, and then here this courage that you have gained, it's kind of like, okay, the 77 is talking here just see that here is the 11 and here's the 7, 7. And that the exchange here is important, the feminine exchange and the masculine exchange. And so just watch what is coming here through the mother piece, the Two of Swords to the right. And the Two of Swords to the right is pointing at the Seven of Wands, and the Two of Swords is connected with the moon in Libra, and that is your moment here, right? The new moon in Libra is bringing you need to find a peacefulness between here, the water and the fire, between these emotions and these actions. And she is showing you how to do it. She's standing on one leg, right? It's kind of tree pose, like the stork here, and she is using the feather, and she's creating here this beautiful 8, the symbol of infinity. And you are understanding that the 11, right, is now like a 2 as well, and so it's kind of like a 2 2, right, when we calculate the 11 together. But I don't do that, so I leave the 11, I leave the 7 7 and the 2 right here. And so you need to look how that makes you feel. You can of course calculate it all together. We would have here a 14, the 14 is the 5 and the 2 is the 7, the emotional intelligence. The 7 and the 2 is the 9, the completion, right? So you understand how I work here with the numbers. Then the moon, the new moon. The new moon is bringing you here the closing of the door. And the closing of the door is the completion, the 5, right? Again, the 5 is that moment where we recognize the 5th zodiac sign, the 5 elements. We need to learn everything about it. The 5 here in the 54, right? The 2 patriarchs, right? Taurus and Aries, right? So here we have the 18, that's then the 9 and the 5 is of course the 14, and the 5 is left. So somehow Sagittarius is here, right? There is like this strong energy from the Knight of Wands, so observe that. He's the 9th zodiac sign, and here the 18 turns into a 9. Then from your deck comes the 10 of Swords. And the 10 of Swords is Sun in Gemini. And Gemini is opposite of the Prince of Wands, right? And Sun in Gemini is giving the light to Sagittarius. And so something is ending, and it's the door that is closing, and you need to be careful that when this door is closed, maybe you cannot get in anymore, and that's today. Today, this is a very special moment, and you need to really take that moment and make your ceremony, right? And understand that you make the wish and that you create what you want. And so the 10 and the 5 is the 15. Remember, the 15 is Capricorn. That's of course Capricorn as the Mars in Capricorn, that moment where you can build something, that moment where you know that you have the help. So observe that, watch that, right? And learn that the 9 and the 6 is actually the 15 again. And so observe what's talking, observe what's wanting to tell you. Don't get attached to nothing, even if the door closes. I think there will be another door, right? But not for a while. So take that moment and see that you let go of your thoughts. You're connected with the swords. Now, of course, the Mother Peace Tarot brought the Wheel of Fortune, and the Wheel of Fortune upright was pointing at this little square. So here are all the 12 zodiac signs inside, and this is Virgo. Virgo was the last reading. Pluto in Capricorn is reminding you not to get into the game of power. And the game of power is something that once you're in it, it's difficult to leave. So maybe this door is letting you know that. Maybe the 10 of Swords is letting you know that. You have a 10-10, right? But Virgo is the 9. And so there is the 9 Pisces opposite of this here Virgo goddess. And Virgo is the hermit, and he knows that he's not going to get into the game of power. He is doing what he wants to do, and he's the one that doesn't need to follow any rules. And so really watch that. So here we have the 9 and the 10 is the 19. Then again, the 10 is left. The 10 And here the 15, the 6, the 10 and the 6 is the 16. Remember the Tower, Mars. Something is going, something is leaving, and you gotta need to be ready for it. Now, of course, I want to see what is the Wheel of Fortune bringing, and it's under my umbrella. Right? The Wheel of Fortune has its own deck. Each of the major arcana has its own deck, and so the 20 is, of course, Pluto, right, in a way. But here it's kind of like these two that protect each other, that help each other. And I think maybe you have that in a Virgo. A Virgo is here to help you, to work with you, and to be a good friend to you, right? And so observe that and allow that to be a guidance, right? Because look how he's protecting this bird, right? It's so beautiful. And so the 20 and the 10 is the 30 and the 6 is the 36, that's the 9, and then the 9 is the 18, the subconscious. In your subconscious, all of this is happening when today the new moon is at 0%, right? And so the 9 is left. And the 9 is saying, well, learn from all of this, because that's what we do, right, when we do these readings. And now the sun is bringing you the south, the adventure. And the adventure is like, here I want to go out there and really enjoy. So the 19 plus the 2 is the 21, that's the world. So go out and explore the world. I think it's important, right? So here you are. But we can also make out of the 19 a 10, the 10 and the 2 is the 12, the Hanged Man. A totally different story here, right? So let go of thinking that you still need to experience the world. At the same time, it's the most amazing thing, right? To experience the world. And so here, this is letting you know you can have the 21, which then turns into a 3, or you have the 12, which also turns into a 3, and that's the Empress. And the Empress, we know, is speaking on a very clear level to you and saying you need to let go of certain things because it's time to let go. What is your deck bringing? Scorpio. And so Scorpio is actually here through Venus in Scorpio, right? The illusion. And this world is an illusion because we're leaving and we're dying and we're letting go of this physical body. So the 13 here turns into then the 4. The 4 and the 2 is the 6. The 6 and the 10 is the 16. Again, the Tower is coming. Mars, right? And the 4 that came out of the 13, that's the Emperor. And the Emperor is the one that says, okay, just do it. Be an emperor. Be someone that can lead. Be someone that goes into this world and experience it, because this world is worth it to be experienced. What is Scorpio wanting to say as a major arcana? Well, here comes the Hierophant. And the Hierophant, that's Taurus. And Taurus is like, okay, maybe you need to understand that all of this, what you're learning here, makes out of you a teacher, a spiritual teacher that is really beautiful and that helps people. And so the 13 and the 5 is the 18. Deep in your subconscious, you maybe want to be a teacher. And then the 18 and the 2 is the 20 again. And the 20 we know is the last judgment, right? And the 20 came here under my umbrella. And so you have a 2020 portal. What is Taurus wanting to tell you? The 4 of Cups, which is Moon in Cancer. Don't be bored, right? Don't come and see that you have 3 cups, but you're getting here this cup and you're kind of like, yeah, whatever. That's really like, okay, you really have a message because they're opposite of each other. Scorpio and Taurus give each other light for their full moon. And so there is a sign coming. Things that are opposite of each other are important, right? And today you have nothing opposite of you. Today you are just you here sitting, right? Sun and new moon in your sign. And there's a message through the sun because the moon is going in front of the sun. a solar eclipse is gonna happen, and that's important. Maybe it shows here, right? And that there is gonna be a big transformation happening in your life when this is happening. So observe that. And of course, I want to see what the Mother Peace Tarot is bringing, and it brings you here the 9, the crone. And the crone is Virgo, and you had Virgo here in the Wheel of Fortune, right? And so understand that here the crone is reverse, and she's the one that is understanding that there is a shift in her path. Her path is changing. But when it's down, facing down, it's almost like saying, well, I'm not so sure, right? Because we had a 9 here with the crystal. And so observe that message there, the 9, right? And see that Virgo as a major arcana is coming here, and now Virgo is coming here as well, right? It's really important that you see that and understand that. And so all together, right, here we have the 10, and then we have the 2s, the 12. The 12 is the 3 and the 4 is the 7, the emotional intelligence. The 7 and the 5 is the 13. Again, transformation, the 13, the 4. The 4 and the 9 is the 13, again, transformation. Right, learning to let go. The 4 is left, and we have the 4 of Cups. A 4-4 portal is left here. So you see, it's all really strongly interconnected and talking and speaking to you. And so now the last station is the Queen of Swords, and she's getting 4 of Swords. And you had 10 swords, and 10 swords is then 14, and 14 is the 5, and so you had the 5 here with the Hierophant, right, Taurus, and you had the 5 here with Leo as a court card, and you had the 5 with the door. So watch that door that's wanting to close. Why is that door wanting to close? And I just see that you have another 2 swords. So you have actually 16 swords. Oh my God, 16 swords and 16 the tower. So it's clear. You're learning something important. But you also, the 7th zodiac sign, and the 4 is the 11. Here comes the 11, like the 11 of justice. But I want to see what brings the Mother Peace, and it's the Ace of Disc to the right. And that's the money. The new money. And so here the 4 and the 1 makes a 5. And so in a way that's the 12, the 12, the 3. The 3 is the Empress, is Venus, right? But we also had the 4 of Cups and the 4 of Swords. Look at that, right? You see now that things are really coming to a closure here. You had the 4 here in the crystal. And so you gotta really see, you came up as the teaching lodge of the errors, right? Here, the Queen of Swords, the 7. But also here, right? So the Ace of Pentacles, you making money with understanding what's coming here, understanding what's talking to you. And so here, the 7 and the 4, like I said, is the 11, right? And the 1, so 3 times the 1 is talking here. 3 times the 1, that's like Venus is saying, you, after all of this, what's happening, you will find you and your equilibrium, right? Your inner knowledge, your meditation, and the money through it. And so observe that, watch that, live it, be it, understand it, and reconnect to all of this here, right? I mean, now it's a mess here, but it's like you have this moment. This moment is important. Act on it. Really act on it, right? And also here, understand that the 9 and here the crone, the 9-9, right? So you have like moments of 2-2, right? You have a lot of double-digit numbers: 2-2, 11, 7-7, 5-5, 9-9, 4-4. It's just never ends, right? And you have the 16-16, and it's just like it's clear something is really talking. You had 3 times the 2. 3 times the 2, right? Don't think, just know that you're protected and you can go out there and do what you need to be doing, right? It's important that you do it. And 2 times the 4, right? Remember the swords and the emotions, right? Observe how that works on you. Anyway, I could go on, but just understand, right? The new money is coming. If you come into Jupiter in Libra, this is a very important moment. Jupiter is that expansion, but expand deep within, right? See in the south that you want to go out there and be, right, the adventurer again. And when you do take that adventure out there, no one can stop you, right? And in that, you learning the most. So I hope I see you in the next reading. We have here the death card, right? We have here Scorpio coming, so Sun in Scorpio is already talking. Until then, I thank you so much for being with me, wishing you a beautiful ceremony, really create a ceremony. Namaste.